Perfect. So we have the Commissioner, Emily Bonilla, Kelly Semrad, Karen Simasek, Louis Olguin, David Shepard, Cheryl Hamill, Anna Pepper. I wrote Eugene down. I'm going to assume he's going to make it in. Gordon Spears, Paul Conway, and then myself, Gabriel Gomez. And then absent, I have Theo, Debbie, Denise, Austin, Sharon, Janet, and Heath.
All right. Gabriel, do we have a quorum with the meeting tonight?
Yes, we do have a quorum.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, so we will call the July 20th District 5 Advisory Council meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our June meeting. Did everybody have an opportunity to review the minutes, and are there any amendments that anyone would like to make? Okay, so we will then need a motion to approve the minutes from our June council meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving our June council meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries and the approval of our June minutes. They are approved. Do we have any council members that have a consideration of an addition to the agenda that we provided? Okay, hearing none, we will move to the, Eugene, did you have one?
No, I'm just happy to be here.
We're happy you're here too. Gabriel, he made it in, he's in.
I see.
Okay. Okay, so no considerations of additions to the agenda. We need to approve our agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda of tonight.
I second it.
All those in favor to approve our July 20th agenda, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. The agenda is approved.
A point of inquiry, I need the person who seconded the minutes and whoever seconded the agenda. Who seconded the minutes?
Karen Simasek seconded the minutes.
Thank you, Karen.
And Cheryl Hamill seconded the approval of the agenda.
Perfect. Thank you both.
Okay, we will move to the reports of officers and work groups. This is the last time that we will have a meeting where it's Commissioner Bonilla, Eugene, and myself providing reports, because tonight we will begin to establish our work groups. So we will have the leaders of those groups providing, and the council members providing additional updates as well. So it's an exciting thing for our August meeting. For tonight, the items that we had and the updates from our activity on the council is first pertaining to the Orange County Vision of 2050. So the District 5 Neighborhood Advisory Council participated in a county focus group that was on July 13th. The purpose of the focus group was to share what the citizens' vision for growth and development in Orange County was, what their needs were, what their expectations were, things that they would like, things that they would not like. The county staff did a very good job in terms of presenting the county Vision 2050. That's a hyperlink in the agenda, so you can click on that and it'll take you to the homepage and talk about the purpose of the vision, as well as provide you with some information in terms of the strategy that they're using in developing it. There is one focus group that's left because one is occurring tonight. And I have the gentleman's name that if you would be interested in participating as a focus group member, it's occurring tomorrow evening. His name is Chris DeMonchi, or Christopher DeMonchi, and his email address is on our agenda. But we need, I'll tell you, all of the residents were very concerned about sustainable development from the focus group that I was in. Everybody was very interested in developing seeing in the denser, thicker, more intense developments at the core of Orange County, as opposed to moving out into the rural areas. And I will also share that there seemed to be a gap that was occurring between the residents' expectations and vision for what the growth would look like versus what the plan was representative of. So the plan is unique. It's got these different markets and different sectors, but there seemed to be a bit of a gap. But staff would like to listen. So if you're available tomorrow, and you'd like to participate, I think it's really helpful to have more citizens engaged from District 5 to provide insight in terms of what your expectation and needs are in the community area. So if you're interested,
Yep, and real quickly, I emailed Christopher today and he said there's still open spots in, it's too late for tonight, but tomorrow, the focus group tomorrow, and I went ahead and put the link to sign up in the chat. I'm not sure how many of you will be able to get in, but there should be at least a few open spots.
Oh, thanks, Gabriel. I'm gonna, that's great. Okay, so the next item is for Eugene. So as you guys recall, we approved two projects, our first two projects to move forward with. Both of them came from Eugene's brainstorming that he was doing. So he's going to speak to some of those. And Karen, we also added you as a thing there in the agenda so that you can kind of elaborate on the question that you're asking after Eugene explains the first project and looks at the map of where everything is in the Orlando Sentinel article he found on it.
Okay. 1 second here. Let me get my right one up. Okay. I got two things up. My other computer's running right now. There, okay. The first part, number one, was about trying to do something about the development pressures on the east side, and that was to, with the option of trying to just buy the land from the developer in the Orange County side of what used to be the Ryboat Ranch. And when that link, the map of location is a general map from the property appraiser's website for that site, which basically is the Econ River going out to 419 down the Lake Pickett. Additionally, there's a second map lower down, which the green area, that's from the Seminole County. The green area, I couldn't blow it up enough, but that's the Clayton property where Dorworth wants to try to develop. And that's where the court case has been going back and forth. And the thought that I'm thinking that this committee could work on is, one, we have money available in Orange County through the mayor's initiative, potentially $100 million we learned today, to buy land. So this committee would look at, what would be involved with us trying to put this on the land acquisition and working through all the issues of trying to see, is there a willing seller and all those things, potentially, I guess. But it's ultimately the only thing I can see that's going to save this land is we buy it. I'm not really detailed. I just have a vision that we could do it. We have people in Seminole County that are active on this, and there was a article which I included in this, that we included on this, which is the number B handout on this, which is a sentinel story about the commissioners in Seminole County strengthening their land protection of rural lands, making it a supermajority vote now. So there's a move up there to protect their land. So I think there might be, if we can find people, and this is part of the, I think the committee's objective is to try to find supporters on the north of the border that support us buying that land along with us working down here in Orange County. So it's a big pool, it's a big potential, it's a lot of work, but I think it's the only thing we can do is just buy the land, make it a regional park of some type. So like the House Scott Park of the Econ. So we're going to be looking for people to join that effort. And then, yes, and that's about it. Is it? Are there questions about that? Should people in?
Is there any point in time you're gonna go and maybe look at the land in person so that we have a better concept of what we're working to save?
That would be based on if the landowner would allow us to do that. The only part that is in public ownership is the Sandhill area down by the river, which doesn't include the one area that they weren't willing to sell to us is the easement under the power line, and that's where they want to put the bridge. And that's where long term that we have to be cognitive of is try to buy all that land so there's no bridge there. Because if that bridge goes through, then Orange County east side will be totally inundated with development. So that's why I think this is a priority to buy this land. There's going to be a lot of resistance because there's a lot of money to be made out there by the developer's point of view. So it's going to be a tough fight, but I think with 400 or 500 people really angry, we can do it. I've seen it happen in this county before. We've been successful in other places. So the best we can do right now is do Google overflights and look at the land. It's a mixed habitat out there. There's some young scrub out there. It's flat woods. The riparian areas have been bought, as far as I know. There's probably some isolated wetlands. Gordon probably knows this if he's still on the call, but he might have been out there.
I've been out there, but it's been many decades since I've been on the Rybolt Ranch. I've camped out there many times in my youth.
Okay.
But it's been decades since I've been out there.
Matt, am I describing it sort of what you think is what's out there? I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of I would call like pretty good quality scrub out there. You know, it slopes down towards the river, but there's a lot of flatwood, a lot of scrubby flatwoods, and a lot of scrub habitat.
Yeah, did you recall ever seeing rosemary out there?
I don't remember.
Okay,
That was before I knew what rosemary looked like.
Okay, because there is rosemary growing up where the old glider port, which is now called Savannahs or something on 419. And there's actually there's a couple of scrub species that are actually true scrub species on that property. So I would not be surprised if they're growing down on this property. The other thing that was growing on the property I used to own, which is right across the river from there, was snowbell, which is really an interesting species because that's about as far south as you can find it. I think the tree on my property was the most southern tree I know in the United States for that species.
Eugene, there are also some protected species that are on wildlife that is there as well.
Yeah, there's bears out there. There's certainly wood storks feeding out there. Ibises, swallowtail kites nest there.
There's some Sherman squirrels.
Yeah, Sherman fox squirrels are out there.
Indigo snakes, things like that. So there's a lot. We've looked at the environmental studies on there. It's worthwhile preserving. I mean, it's also in the Econ River Basin. Our Econ River flows into the St. Johns, which is an outstanding Florida waterway. So there's a lot of reasons
to major recharge area.
Yeah. lot of reasons to preserve it, and also an excellent recreational asset for Orange County to have and to preserve for its people.
Yeah, it's right, it's really close to large population centers, so it'd be, the Econ Wilderness over on the west side of the river is seeing huge amounts of people using that property. And I think that's 400 acres, so approximately. And this would be about 3,000 or 4,000 acres total, including what we own today. And if we got property on the north side, we're talking about 6,000 or 7,000 acres as a total. That's a significant park area.
Yeah.
So it'd be a
Eugene,
huge
you
asset
said
for the whole
you had a
area.
map?
It would actually be, it would be the Wekiva State Park of the East.
Eugene, you said you had a map or something, or maybe you can present, like show where it's at, 'cause I'm having trouble visualizing exactly what we're trying to save.
That number A is if you click that on the agenda, I've noticed that it's messing up my map. That's the only issue, that Google has changed my Word document slightly.
Is it possible to share, share a document kind of on here, like share your screen? I don't know if that's the thing here, but it'd be kind of nice if you can kind of
I wish there
present
was,
what you're.
okay, let me
Agree,
see
that
if
would be really helpful. I can't tell I can tell that there's a zoomed in area from the attachment, but
okay,
there's
I'm gonna
no
try to bring up.
correlation between that and the zoomed out map. So
Okay, give me a second. I want to bring that up.
Let me see if Kelly, are you able to share your screen? Are you able?
Can you make me share my screen? I can show you what I'm looking at.
Whoever's the host right now has sharing privileges.
Yeah, they can hand it off. Well, in Zoom you can. I'm not sure what they can do here.
I mean, it says that I can share, so hold on, let me.
Okay, can you give me ability to share a document?
I don't know how to do.
Yeah, do you all have the share button on your?
I have a share here. Let me see. Share.
Yeah.
Screen. Here we go. I think share screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see it now.
Okay. Let me figure out where I'm at now. Sorry, I'm learning WebEx still.
Me too.
Now, of course, it's in my way. Oh, all right, property appraiser. All right. Can you see the property appraiser map?
Yes.
Okay. The green part is the Econ River, and the funky green that goes down the Lake Pickett. It basically, the land ownership, as I zoom in, it will start showing, this is the GIS map off of the property appraiser map. It will start showing Lake Pickett. So there's the river. As I go north, that dashed line is the Seminole County land border. This gray area, that light gray you see, is actually the county park on the west side. Of the river of the Seminole County. So Rolling Rock Ranch is Ribo. So all this is owned by them. This is owned all the way out to 419 by the Ribots. So you can see all that, and it goes down south. And you know this is the new neighborhood there, all the way down to Lake Pickett here, and then it goes. Her land goes all the way back here, and this is where this gray area is, that messed up area where they're doing all that stuff, whatever they're doing there. But that's the objective in Orange County, was try to somehow negotiate to buy that property. And the key property is, one of the key things is this little slot here. That's the new 4-lane highway they want to build, which will connect 419. That's the big thing. Let me try to bring up.
Who wants to build the highway? Eugene.
It's going to be the developers pushing for it. That's who.
Okay, and this property, the Ribolt Ranch, is the Lake Pickett North community, correct?
Yeah.
So they already got some kind of development approvals.
No, they don't have any. It was denied.
It was denied. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the status of the Lake Pickett North community?
I'm gonna try to bring up something else. Yeah.
So the project was Lake Pickett South passed, Lake Pickett North was denied.
Okay.
They're trying to move forward with an additional proposal, but they've not yet been able to clear all of the county, like the request for information, data, reports, things of that nature. So there's nothing as of yet that's coming forward. It's, you can see that there's a proposal that's been submitted through the fast track system, and that there's pages and pages upon review from the counties and then coming back.
I'm trying to pull up the Seminole County property appraiser right now. This is to show you that the other property that, oh shoot. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh. SPA Seminole County property appraiser. Sorry, everyone. I should have had all this already up. Let me figure out where their map is. Down links. Nope. Sorry. They every time they get someone new in office, they change the whole website. Anyways, I'm sorry.
It's okay, Eugene. Let's
go on because it's anyways. Basically, north of the property in this area is the Dorworth property. Everything in this area, just south of the, what is it, Twin Oaks or something like that, development on 419. But there's another 1,600 plus acres over here that Dorworth offered to trade for the property on the west side. So we know that they're open to selling it. So we need to put some pressure and find locals up there. So I think this group would be a juggernaut to try to get that connections up there. And I'm sure people on this call know people up there that we could work together. And I think we have, Seminole County's been in court multiple times through the federal court now on this issue with this developer. So I think we have a chance.
Eugene, I saw that it says ranch. Is it an actual ranch, or is there anything being done in the property right now?
It's an actual ranch. There's cattle on it. However, there's an agri fuels company that's there that has numerous state violations and EPD violations where they are taking debris from they're taking debris from other properties and burying it on their property. But I've talked to Commissioner Bonilla about it. I mean, and the state about it, and the operation is still up and running. So
yeah, it's up. I'm trying to get over to it using Google Maps. It's a mess. You guys have seen it. If you've driven Lake Pickett, you've seen it and see what they've done. Anyways, that's probably enough, so I'm looking for people that might be interested in trying to work on that issue. This is the Google map of that property, and that sand pit is the mess that Kelly's talking about. It's a lot worse than what this shows. They've done a lot since this satellite photograph was taken. But you can see, I mean, the property is nice. You can see the Econ River here. And you can see the Econ Wilderness right there. That's the Seminole County. And then there's the easement for the power line.
there's also the Sandhill Conservation. That's just
It's
next
gorgeous. It's all this property down here where my mouse is moving. And I think Didn't we had a bear biologist say they've had up to over 20 bears out there from UCF that she's tracking.
Karen, did you have a question pertaining to this project that you wanted to ask? I know you emailed it. I put it in the agenda.
It's kind of being answered. My question was, it's my understanding that right now, if you have a nuisance bear, it is trapped and sent to Ocala State Forest. And that I had heard that there was some talk about trying to find another location in the Econ area to put our I'm putting that in quotes when I say nuisance, bears. And so I was interested because that would be another angle and another group to help us get a lot of people on board to get this land, because I'm understanding that when they are sent to Ocala, they typically are in mortal danger. And I'm finding all this out because we have a bear in an area that you don't expect them to be. So we have a bear in Maitland Winter Park. So I'm learning a lot about how development is chasing our bears into areas they'd rather not be. And people are having to learn to live with them. And we're running out of nature. So I'm definitely interested in working on this project and connecting with not only bear groups, but I have some ideas of others.
So, this would be, if they did development in this, they would be pushing out bears to the urban areas more, because this area does have bears. I didn't realize the number until I had a talk at Sierra Club by a bear biologist. I was really surprised when I heard how many bears are out here. They've recovered nicely out there. So I mean, between what I hear is in the Seminole County by the River Run Church. So this property goes all the way up to 419 also. And there's some nice scrub on this property too, especially out towards 419. There's some actual white scrub out there. And it transitions down towards the river to be a riparian. So it has potentially be a great regional park between the two counties. I mean, I think the citizens would support it.
Eugene, question is it just one owner that owns like the whole ranch, or is it several owners?
On Ribo, it's particularly, as far as I know, is I think it's still owned by the Ribo Trust, I believe, because that's who the property appraiser is showing.
The Ribolt Trust and Mary Lamar are one and the same. So it's the same.
Mary's the daughter, isn't she?
She is the daughter-in-law, I believe.
Oh, really? Okay.
Inherited it.
So this whole property or this whole area that we would like to try to acquire, it is only one owner that we'd be dealing with almost, right? It's not
exactly.
like several.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm scrolling around on this property right now, and you can see Roland Ranch Ltd. Limited Trust, and Mary Lamar, which Kelly said is one of the relations. So this is all one and the same person. Every single property here within this area is one property owner. So anything in the gray is different owners, but the green trees, that is the Ribo family or trust.
What is the total acreage of this parcel, Eugene?
It's about 1,400 acres, I believe.
1,400?
I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's on top of the 700 that we own now in this green area.
Right. I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about what's not been acquired.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,400. So I think it's possible, because I mean, if what the commissioner told us today, the budget line is $100 million for this coming year for land purchasing. And
so how much of that can go towards offering to buy the rolling ranch acre?
This is part of the committee's job, but what it would probably end up, and Gordon, you can jump in and correct me. It probably would be a consortium of the county, along with St. John's and the state of Florida Communities Trust money. So it'd be equal amounts once the prices, and then we had to negotiate with the state and St. John's to see if they're willing to kick in money. So it won't be just Orange County. It would be, our money would go much farther now because we have money in the bank and we can go to the other people in the state to get money from them to buy this. And I can't imagine St. John's not being interested in helping us. But,
And have any private organizations been approached, like Nature Conservancy, or would we not need that help?
you know, that'd be one of the things the committee's going to have to explore that because they can move more, they're much more nimble potentially in the state. They can negotiate faster than the state could.
Yeah.
I think you've done this, Gordon, haven't you, with the work that you've done?
You know, I've been involved with some projects where large parcels were conserved as mitigation. You know, and so there's another angle, but you know, the state did recently approve a lot of money. Surprisingly, the state of Florida approved a lot of money for conservation recently, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
But generally, you know, in my experience, yes, you're absolutely right. Private entities can move far quicker than the state of Florida or the water management districts can. But partnering with the water management district and the state can really leverage the funds that the county has available to it. So I think it's definitely worth pursuing that, even if it means going a bit slower than we could go with a private party.
I'm really feeling good about this year, and that's why I think this is highly possible because the state of Florida this year, for the first time in a very long time, in 12, 13 years, they put $400 million in the in that trust fund.
Mhm.
They divvied up between the different organizations that buy within the state. But that's a huge amount of money that we could potentially get our fingers on and potentially buy this land. So, and I really think if you get enough people behind this, and that's what the committee's going to work on, is it's going to be a public relations issue. At the same time, working how do we buy this, and then also can we get them the will and seller, because we have to have a will and seller, and they're going to have to get, you know, it's market price. They can't gouge, of course,
Right.
but you know, but we could pay market price, whatever the market caused based on the real estate estimate appraisals that come in. But that's part of this committee. I mean, the people who get on this committee, it's going to be a very dynamic, exciting, and if we were successful, it's something that you can sit back for the rest of your lives and enjoy.
And do we know if Lamar, Mary Lamar, has she already started into talks with other entities to sell her land, or is she even interested in selling?
She's in, yes, we know that there's a Texas land development company that, you know, like would purchase if they can get it approved for the 2,000 some units that they want, housing units that they want on this. And then I think they have a small portion slated for commercial as well. So,
she has been working with the developer because they're the ones who are banging on her door to develop this, but we might have an in with us coming in and say, look, we can pay the price you want and conserve the land and honor your family if necessary, you know.
yeah.
We can name it after them.
Sure. I mean, we're doing that actually down on the property that was just bought on the Louis-Con, right? Emily? That was, we just bought 40 some acres there.
We're not naming it after anyone, we're naming it after the historical bridge. We did a survey out and people picked a name that they would like, so that's
Okay.
So Eugene, that's a lot of great information on the first project. Can you speak to the second one, which is the proposing an incentive package so that we can allow the group members to do the survey and to
Okay,
pick the projects that they'd like to do.
okay, this is the, okay, the survey. The survey is,
Not the survey, discuss number 2, the propose an incentive package for developers, builders to build up in the university corridor.
okay. All right, this is trying to come up with an overlay ideal for the university and Alafaya corridor by the university in that area to do a high density development as maximum density, multi-story, and try to locate a lot of the development for student housing and retail for the students in that area instead of spreading out what's happening. So if we can create the groups, responsibility would come up with ideals on probably working with planning, ultimately about trying to, let me unshare my screen now. I don't know how to unshare it now. Stop sharing. I'm sorry. I don't know how to stop it share. Dog. Does anyone know how to unshare? Stop. Okay, there we go. Stop sharing. Okay, I'm back to normal. Sorry, it's disconcerting to have your no desktop. And try to find my email on this. I had email on this. My brain thinking. I'm sorry. Where's my email? Gmail. Anyways, this group would be responsible for looking at and trying to come up with ideas how to do a higher density to try to concentrate all the development on the Alafaya University corridor, and create a university area there instead of continually spreading down State Road 50 towards the east. And what would be, I guess, all these projects would have a plan and that would go to the commissioner. And we do have that farther down. And basically that's, at the high level, that's what I'm thinking at this point. That needs to be developed a lot on what we can do in that area. And we have to see what exists today. I mean, I don't know if planning already has something out there. It doesn't look like they do. That's part of this Vision 2050, but you would have thought the university's been there since '69 that they would have thought of something in the last 60 years or 50 years. So anyways, I'm looking for volunteers that would be interested on that because the student housing, as you all know, is being built on State Road 50, which doesn't need any more traffic. So my objective is to try to get the traffic as close as possible to the university and create a very good transit system near the university so the students don't have to drive and they're close to where they need to be and they're not out in the community tying up traffic on a F level road already, because 50 is already pretty much F.
Additionally on this project is that with the vision for 2050, they're trying to centralize the growth and development in the more core areas. And when we look at District 5, that university corridor is definitely one of the core areas. So it aligns with one of the goals and initiatives of that Vision 2050, which may present some opportunities then in that that project coming to fruition in the county and in District 5.
Yeah, part of
Yeah.
the charge and motive here is to try to get the development at university and get it away from 50 because we don't need more development on 50 at this point because it can't handle it. And that's if we get more development there, it just creates a DOT CFX opportunity to extend the 408 more down the middle of 50, which I don't think is a good thing.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna jump in here. So I've had 3 developments come in Quadrangle, which is across the street from UCF. It's on the corner of Alafaya and Alafaya and University. And I just approved last week a student housing, the quadrangle. It's going to be 7 stories, student housing, which will get a shuttle to go across the street into UCF. And through that process, I asked for a lot of data on traffic. And it basically is going to keep traffic off of, well, not all traffic, 100%, of course, because they may have to go some other place besides UCF. But for the majority of the part, it's going to keep traffic off of Alafaya and University because it has a direct route into UCF. Also, what I found out was that you have, let's say you have single family homes, and then you have student housing. Student housing has less than half the trips on roads as a single family housing, which was very interesting for me to find out. But that is also with, so you have that, and then if it's within a half a mile of the university, that never drops even more. So it's really interesting stuff. So I do have another project that's coming up on the quadrangle there that wants to develop student housing. And then there is another one that wants to do just multifamily housing. And I'm not in support of that one because that's going to create more trips. I think people go out to go to work, to school. And if it's student housing, though, I mean, that would bring down the traffic rather than increase it.
Yeah, that's good.
But, you know, it's a balance too, because there's some single family homes up in the corner who don't want any student housing there at all. They actually suggested do the student housing on Tanner Road. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. So I've at least kept it away from bordering them. So that anything bordering them would just be office, which they said they are okay with, and then, you know, the other areas could be more open to housing.
I mean, that might be one of the things this committee looks at is what is the present land use? Is there opportunities? Maybe, you know, some brain thinking on incentives that you get developers to go up as high as possible. What is is there building limitations on height right now? And do they make sense? And do we need to upgrade our fire services to support higher, you know, multi-story structures? I don't know. That would be part of maybe the study that would come in, because, you know, 7 stories is great, but I don't mind seeing 15, 20 stories out there right on university, because the more you put there, at some point you're going to build a bridge for the students to be able to cross it. They don't have to physically touch the road. It could be a pedestrian crossing there. And that would, you know, no more, we could cut down the interactions between people, or some other solution. It's high and dry there. We could actually do a tunnel there too. That's one of the few, that's a very scrubby area in that area. So there's opportunities that we could do. We have they still have a few, like the university apartments there. They're 50 years old. They were there when I was there, and they were old then. The Haystacks, there's a number of the old, very low density apartments there that have opportunities that maybe we can create incentives and to redevelop it to be a higher density and much higher stories, and get the students as close as possible. And, you know, as you said, most of the students are going to school. They might go out for food. They're going to go out Friday night downtown or something like that. But that, you know, their trips going out are much more limited than what a normal family has. They don't have kids. They don't go. They're going to go to school, do their thing, go to work, whatever. But they're not going to. So, anyways, I think that group would have a very interesting thinking process of trying to come up with some good solutions for them, and it could coordinate with the 2050 marketplace concept, because that certainly is a major capital area for the county. I mean, there's 50,000 students and thousands of employees out there. So I'm hoping that people will join that one and explore that, and we'll be there to help. Okay.
Yeah, that's Eugene, yeah, I just want to second what you and Emily just said, and I'm aware of the projects that have come up in the quadrangle, and apparently there's very little market for office space now, and so as developers come in there, the the quadrangle has seen that as an opportunity to sell to residential developers. And I've generally been supportive of that because it does, you do want the density to be close to the, to the magnet that's generating the trips, and so the owners of the remaining vacant parcels of the quadrangle are probably could be allies in this project you're describing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities for developers to make good money off of this, and at the same time, provide a really good land use equation for what we need there.
Right.
So
And then also, like you said, I think it definitely fits into the Vision 2050, and I don't know if you've had any conversations with county staff about it, but that's I think it definitely fits in the whole concept that you're describing.
Yeah, so I guess we can, you want to move on to the next thing, Kelly?
Yeah, so thank you, Gordon. That was good feedback, and Eugenie did a really good job on the description. So our next task here is to click on the survey link that's in the agenda, and I am going to share it in the chat as well, just in case.
I shared it, Kelly.
Oh, you did? Thank you. So let me. Okay, so if you can click on the link, it's going to launch a survey for you, which all that it does is it just explains that the purpose is to select one of the two groups. We have some council members that are not joining us this evening, so we'll have to circulate the survey via email. So what we will end up doing is confirming the results from those council members that are attending this evening. So I'll give you guys, I think like maybe one minute. I think we probably all have the projects that we'd like to choose, right, in our mind. So if you just select one of the two options.
Wow.
So enter your name.
Done.
Wow.
What are you wowing?
Oh, the storms. I'm hearing a lot of lightning here.
How are you?
Yeah, nothing's flicked yet.
Kelly, I'm interested in both of them, so I really don't care. Do you want to just let me even out the numbers?
Why don't you pick your preference, and then if we need to even outer, then thank you for volunteering.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're both going to be very interesting projects, and you're going to learn a lot on either one of them. Well, we'll all learn because Kelly and I will be there to support you, and I'm sure Emily will be there too. So.
I have a question on I guess the density one that we're kind of looking at about for UCF. What do you think that process would look like? Is that just a zoning issue, like changing the zoning laws in an area?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Gordon, do you know? Could you provide any insight on that? Do you think?
Well, the process is generally the future land use is usually determined by the county, and if the proposed use fits in the future land use designation, then they will get the zoning change that they're seeking. So, I think that is an opportunity to work with the the owners of the remaining undeveloped parcels in the quadrangle and see if they would be amenable to changing the future land use. I think that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Into a high density or medium high density residential land use in lieu of the office land use. And that's kind of the way it's going anyway, because these projects that have been locating into the quadrangle, that's what they're doing. So really it's just kind of making it official what's already happening on an official basis. But and
Oh, good.
What, as you know, us as committee advisory buildings, what do you think our role would kind of be within that? Or what do you think?
Yeah, so I see 3 opportunities here. I see the quadrangle, I see UCF. We definitely need to get with UCF for them to build student housing on their property as well. Because they could do affordable student housing. So student housing that's owned by UCF is typically cheaper than private developers' student housing. So we need to encourage that. The third opportunity is, like Eugene mentioned, was redevelopment. So there are areas. So I do have another student housing that was recently approved, which they just bought all these old houses that were just, they were just falling apart, and they're building student housing there. They're knocking everything down, building student housing. So that was redevelopment. So we have those 3 different opportunities. I guess a fourth one you could say is maybe getting the county to subsidize some student housing, because that's the only availability to be able to do that, but there's no federal funding for that. So coming up with a strategic plan would be the committee's role, and then seeing where we can go with that, as far as where the committee can then come in to help influence some of those changes. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, it was just a little vague. Not familiar with how the whole process works. It's new for me, so I think that kind of makes sense.
Okay. I have I'm going to share my I got the future land use map up. Let me see if I can share it. Screen. Let's see, did it share?
Eugene, while you do that, I just wanted to make sure that Paul and David, are you guys able to access the survey?
Can't seem to find it in the agenda.
Do you see do you see in the chat of the WebEx that there's a link there that says?
Oh no, I was actually looking at the documents.
It's in the agenda as well, but just for quick access, can you see it in the chat?
See it.
You got to click the chat button. It doesn't automatically show up in the chat. There's a button at the bottom that says chat. Click that, and then it'll populate at the top.
It's in your lower right-hand corner. It'll say participants, and then it says chat, and it's in my computer, it's in blue font with a little bubble next to it.
All I've got right now is a colorful map on the screen.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, the colorful map is the actual future land use map. I just shared that, which is really busy and difficult to look at, but
it's okay, Paul. You can just tell me which one you'd want to do.
I was thinking about water quality myself.
The water quality project.
Right.
Is there one from the 2 projects that we talked about today?
I don't think I'd have time to be able to support that.
Okay. What about David?
Let's see, how do we- Oh, there we go. Okay.
And Paul, well, the group will work on other projects as well, so not to worry.
Okay.
go-
So real quickly, this is the future land use map that Gordon was speaking to. The blue area is CF. The red area is the commercial area on the corner where they've done that redevelopment. The pink area is that the quadrangular area? It's
Yeah,
called
it's the quadrangle.
corridor. So it's a neighborhood activity corridor right now. On the south side, you got a couple little pieces of commercial, but then you got this pink area. This orange area is a medium density residential. So all this is, that would be something I'd be looking at, creating a much higher density, because as long as we're close to UCF or the research area, this area, where my mouse is, what I'm thinking is the corridor. And I can, Emily, jump in and tell me I'm wrong, but this is the area of question. All this should be high density student housing, so we get everyone. There's 50,000 students that need housing here. So we want to create opportunities close by.
Yeah, Eugene, I totally agree with you, but there is also a rural settlement that's just to the west of the quadrangle. And that's going to be a source of opposition to this.
This right here, this little tan area,
Yeah, maybe.
It's right off of Rouse Road. They have
Yes,
5 acre lots back there. It's a beautiful area.
It is, but those people are not going to want to see 10-story buildings right outside of their rural settlement. They're just not,
Yeah, I mean, we got to figure, and that's part of the situation here. We got to figure out, how do we transition from a high density over here to something that they can live with, and that's part of the talking with the folks out there, and see what they're comfortable with, and how much screening or setback or something. Because with the higher density, that also gives you the opportunity to have more open space, because your space, you're going up in space, so you could theoretically open more green space on the ground by giving the developer right to go higher. So one of the things to explore, the first thing is find out what the height limitations are out there and why. And if they're not logical, then one of the proposals could be is, let's go up to a certain height, certainly along the 434 Alafaya corridor and University, and to a certain distance back. Now, I agree with Gordon. I know that area well. And these people are sitting on some gorgeous, and they're all horse farms back there.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been there ever since I've been here, and I've been here a long time, when this whole area was horse farms and cattle fields. So I think there's still opportunities out by Alafaya, down here south of University. It's part of this committee might want to be ground truth and see what actually is there, and maybe approach and come up with a plan from the developers who live there or own properties, and approach, eventually this is going to go to Emily, and she will tweak it. We're the eyes and ears for Emily, essentially.
Yeah. Eugene, just so that we get through the rest of the agenda, I want to confirm the results with the council members who voted this evening. I have Anna on the park. I have Karen on the park, but if there needs to be an even outer person, she's the girl. Cheryl on the incentive package for the university corridor. I put myself on the university corridor. We have Heath on the park. Gordon on the park, which, Gordon, are you joining us? I felt like that was too good to be true.
Thank you, Gordon.
Well, you know, like I said, I spent many a weekend and camping out over at the Rybolt Ranch, and I would love to see that become a state park. I would really love to see that happen.
That is awesome. And
Excellent.
then I have Lewis on the state park as well. And then Gabriel, how many committee members are we missing voting this evening?
Kelly, did you want me to vote?
Checking that now.
Yeah, well, if you want to, Eugene,
I was thinking I'm gonna float between both
yeah,
of them.
I envisioned that you were kind of floating between them too.
'Cause, you know, I'm kind of an activist, so I'm gonna have my fingers in everything.
Kelly, can you repeat the members that chose university?
Cheryl Hamill
Yep.
and myself.
Mhm.
And then I have Anna, Karen, Keith, Gordon, and Lewis on the park.
Can you please
Okay, so
clarify on the minutes? It said under unfinished business that there was going to be 2 work groups, one for water quality and then the other from the list below that we just discussed. So I'm not sure why, because I guess I was going to be in the work group on water quality. So has that been scrapped, or it's not clear what.
The water quality didn't get enough votes during the last meeting to move forward. So
Okay, that wasn't in the minutes, so.
Oh,
uh,
we should have had something in the minutes, because that was one of the big decision points last time. We went through the list of things and people voted, and these 2 came out to be the top. It doesn't mean we're not gonna deal with them. It just, right now, we got enough work with these 2, and then if, once these are done, then we get on to the next subject. So unfortunately, we have a limited number of projects.
if we wanted to be ambitious, because there was Paul was also interested in it, I mean, we if we have a small subcommittee that would be interested in that, would that work or no?
I mean, if people are interested, there is interest in the county. I can't go in great details. I have a sunshine issue, but there is interest in water quality.
Mhm.
So
Let's
If I could.
Yeah, if they'll commit, Kelly, go for it.
I guess
Yeah.
my preference was just that I want to be a benefit to the group, and I really have no really limited experience on the stuff that you guys discussed today. I don't know how helpful I could be from just a random citizen. My expertise isn't in any of that, so.
Okay, so let's, Gabriel, can we add to tonight's minutes and that we are, let's.
I mean,
add-
I can't be like a committee of one either. If there's just not enough other people, it's just I guess I could try to help with the other group. It's just like I don't know what I can offer.
well, Kelly, why don't we put Ann and the other person, water quality, if we have enough people, because we don't know what the other members who aren't voting at this time want to do, and we could pose them the question, would they like to do the water quality?
Okay.
So, so it's sort of like top,
Let me ask this, so with the exception, so I heard from Paul that he had an interest in the water quality, and I'm hearing from Anna that she has an interest in the water quality. If the water quality project was added, would it change anybody else's vote for this evening?
No.
Probably not.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the survey prior to sending it out to the rest of the council members. And I will include the water quality option. And you know, I mean, if we have a party of two that's working on it, and I mean, Eugene and I can tag team on that one as well. I mean, we may not have a huge project, but we could do something that would still make a difference, you know, and that we would have people interested in working on it. So let me do that, Anna. So, and Paul, I know that you weren't able to see it, so can we add you to that water group? Can I do that?
Sure.
Is that okay? So that's what I'll do, and then Gabriel, I'll send you the updated link to the survey. Okay.
Yeah, if the water group does get going, then I can help them in the sense of what I'm working with. I'm working with John Foth on a water issue for the county in a different area. So I can feed data on what we're doing, what our proposals are doing. So I don't think I get a conflict that way.
Okay, great. Okay, guys, so we confirmed the results with the council members, and I'll make that change. Gabriel, I'll get that to you tomorrow before lunch.
Sure. One question. We still didn't get a vote from David. Is David still on?
David Shepard,
Yeah, David Shepard.
he's muted. David?
Okay, we'll send him the updated link.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so Gabriel, you're up next.
Okay. Okay, so reviews.
Yeah, so once we get the subcommittees finalized, I will be sending out doodle polls for the best time to meet, and also for the August meeting next month, so we can find a day that works best for all of us.
I hope just so that we can take the time to review the stuff, we have more than a few hours to review the minutes. And at least I find it really helpful to get a meeting invite or confirmation of when the next meeting is, in order to plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
would
and I
really-
want to
really appreciate it.
apologize. The last minutes today and the agenda today, my father had a stroke. And I was in North Carolina, so Eugene and I were literally scrambling till midnight last night to get the agenda together. So my apologies. And we will be doing better with getting the agenda together and getting it to Gabriel to get it out to members.
I've had other. Oh, sorry.
Sorry to hear about your dad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for putting everything together and the effort, especially your circumstances.
Oh, thank you.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know, I do kind of events all the time and stuff, and they always kind of send that Outlook sort of reminder that I don't know how you do that, but I always thought that's useful because I literally always forget about this meeting.
Yeah. No,
It's lost in like hundreds of emails and stuff that I get.
And again, this month there wasn't the usual 7-day notice. And so, we should take that into account. Next month you'll have a week's notice or 10 days, I believe.
Yeah, Gabriel, I don't know, there's like a way that you can it's like you add it to your calendar. That's always very useful. That I've seen other meetings do as well.
Yeah, if you can put it in Outlook and we can link it in our calendars, and then all we have to do is click the hot link for the web link. Because that's always, obviously it's a pain for me to get in the web X for some reason.
Yeah, as soon as we have a date for the August meeting, I can go ahead and create an event on Outlook.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Let's move to the new business section. We have the deliverable expectations for each subcommittee group. And what Eugene and I did is that we pulled the documents that are in the shared drive that Commissioner Bonilla had put there for us in terms of shaping that. And I think that, Commissioner, you might be able to speak to these a little bit more now that we have projects in our mind, so we can kind of see how the documentation and deliverables of those would look to get them to you.
Okay, yes, I will I'll share my screen. Hopefully it works. I think I have a delay too because I stopped talking it's silent and then someone responds. Just let you know that I think I do have a delay here.
Was there going to be a link eventually if we wanted to watch or listen to past meetings? I thought that was a plan at the beginning was to eventually have that.
Yeah, there is. My editor's just been really busy with the talk show that we're doing, which by the way, I would love to get some ideas from you guys, what topics you would like to see in the talk show. I'm doing one on water quality that's coming up. So, you know, if you guys have any ideas of what to send my way, that'd be great. So I'm going to try to get someone else who could also help with some of the easier videos and get these out onto the website and YouTube as quickly as possible. Because it was just it was a huge learning curve to get that talk show up and running. And I think we finally have it down pat. So let me see if I could share. How's this work?
It's wet out there.
It says share file instead of. Do I need to take back sharing privileges? Okay. Oh yeah, it's pouring out here. I don't know if you can hear the thunder. Here we go.
My dog's kind of freaking out, sorry.
So this works.
I need to give her a second.
Just need to move this out of the way. Should be able to see my browser here.
Go.
Yes.
All right, so this is a project brief. And so you all have access, or you should have access. If you don't, let me know. Should have access to all the templates for these. And the project brief is where we start off with the background information. We define the problem. And then there's guiding questions here to help you in defining that problem. And then the project objectives. What are we trying to achieve? And how are we going to measure the success?
Oh, there goes the power. Oops, we just lost our power.
Still have it here.
Yeah, my UPSs are working, so I have power for a bit. Oh, there it came back.
All right, and then we have the project duration, which is the start and end time, and then the milestones. So the milestones are broken down here for the kickoff meeting, the work group leader delivers finalized project plan and project timeline. And so all the steps are basically kind of laid out for you here. You just have to change the dates and stuff. Who your target audience is and any additional resources. So this is a project brief. I will just stop there for any questions.
Ideally, this is the first one that you would like, right? Like this is the sequential order. So we would first do the project brief. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because each one builds onto the next one.
Okay.
I have a question. Would we be writing a project brief that would go to Emily, and Emily would be presenting it to the District 5 Commission?
So great question. So actually the executive committee, which is the co-chairs and myself, would be working on this project brief. Because I think the subcommittee would need this information to really understand where they're going with it. So it's trying to help you out. The work group. But whoever the work group leader is could also be involved in helping create this as well. All right, I'm going to skip down to the project timeline, because the project timeline then is what the work group leader would put together. Again, it has so you just copy the project duration here, your key milestones, and then this is the timeline where the work group leader can then assign certain tasks to people, who's working on what, when each, breaking down the milestones, what they need to do, how long it will take. That way people get a good idea of how much investment they should be putting in. When I went through this is actually broken out. You could just really just fill in the names and the dates. But depending on how you all work this out, how many members you have, it seems to be about, I'd say maybe 2 hours a week per person for like the whole project. So each person on the project will probably put in maybe 2 hours on the whole project. Does that make sense? Because then everyone's kind of taking turns throughout the timeline on working on it. Because each person's going to build on the previous person's work. But when you go through this template, and read through it, you'll see how everything's kind of broken down. Let's see. Any questions on that?
So, Emily, Kelly and I will initially start the project briefs and then include maybe the chair, whoever's elected chair of the subcommittees. We'll get them together and then tweak the brief, I guess.
Well, then they'll be working on the project timeline. So they'll
Okay.
be taking the information from the brief and putting it into a timeline.
Okay.
And then that information too from the brief will be worked also into the policy making worksheet, which I'm going to open now. And so this worksheet, so each section can be separated by a different person. So you're separating into tasks or sections to different people. And when you walk through this, it asks you a bunch of questions, gives you a chart, really works through all the things you should be looking at in order to make sure that by the time you get to putting together a proposal, all the information is there. So this is like your worksheet that you work through. And I'll just go through a couple, let me just go to the top. I'll go through a couple of sections real quick. So like you define the problem. So you can ask yourself, why are you searching for the policy solutions? What needs to be addressed? Where does it need to be addressed? Are there quantifiable assertions to include? So here's examples. New homes are being built too slowly. That's not a great definition of the problem, but there are too many houseless families relative to the currently available housing stock in the county. Now that's measurable and it's more specific and defines the problem.
Oh, you froze.
Oh.
You froze, Emily.
Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're moving now. I lost you for a few seconds there when you said homeless, and then you cut out.
Okay, so what I said about that homeless, there are too many houseless families relative to the currently available housing stock in the county. That's a more measurable, defined problem that you can find solutions to because it's measurable. And then data and research is the next section. So you try to find any data and research that helps you more clearly define the problem and find some solutions. So this helps you go through that research. And then the stakeholder analysis, I love this part, it's one of my favorite. It goes through how you looked at who are your stakeholders, how powerful are they, what resources do they have, what's their justifications for their stances. So you're looking at supporters and people who oppose as well, or people who are even neutral. You're looking for all your stakeholders, and you're creating this chart here for each different stakeholder. So you have a good idea of what you're working with. Grants and funding. So this is some research on looking for grants that might be out there to help fund whatever it is you're doing. And then developing a strategic plan. So looking at how has this been handled in the past? What have other jurisdictions done? Has it been challenged in court, and what was the outcomes? So it's looking at all of that and then coming up with a plan, an evidence-based strategy to be able to address the problem with the solution. And feasibility is really important. You know, you might have a solution, but is it feasible? Can we really do it? And this walks you through that. The cost benefit analysis and social equity analysis also looks at, because it's also important to see, well, is it feasible by cost, or equity too? Is it equitable? And then you have your action plan. After going through that, like, what steps do we need to take in order to make it happen? And then communicate. How are we going to communicate all of that to who we need to communicate to? What's the messaging? And then evaluation and innovation, which is basically after you go through everything and you move forward with your project, then you come back to it at a later time and evaluate, you know, what was the success or what did you learn from the process. So that's the evidence-based policymaking worksheet. Does anyone have any questions on that?
I'm just not sure what the final product is, because, you know, we understand a lot of time what the problems are. The solution is something that in this case seems like it would be a policy change, a new ordinance. I'm not sure. Could you give me some examples of what the final product would be that you would take?
Yeah, so it really depends. And so you have policies that could change, you have ordinances, you have zoning, all of those things could be part of a solution. But you could also, like, one of the projects is buying that land. So the solution is purchasing the land. It's not an ordinance or a policy. Another one might be starting a nonprofit to go and do something to solve the problem, because government isn't the answer. So it just depends on what the problem is.
I see.
And so the worksheet, once you bring that then to the rest of the council to look over it, they'll provide feedback, say, well, have you thought about this? Have you done research on this? This doesn't have, maybe this doesn't have enough data or research, we need more. And here's what you should look into, you know, and then the work group can go back, tweak it, and then come back. Once that's approved, then the next step is to put together a proposal or a better format of that information that can then be presented to whoever it needs to be presented to. Like I said, the solutions could be government, it could be creating a nonprofit, it could be partner up with a private organization, who knows? But you need to have some way to present that to somebody. So this is a project proposal. Here's a template that you basically take all the information in a worksheet and then you organize it into a format like this. That is more of a proposal document.
Okay.
Any questions up to now? So the last item is the project status report. So this is what the work group would be coming back to the full council with your report on what your status is for that month. So basically, it's just here's just a kind of like template for you, but you just fill it out with whatever your updates are for that project. So, you know, the point of having all these templates is to really guide everyone in a consistent way, using information that I've learned over the past on what works, you know, to be able to bring things to a board who isn't really open to listening to your ideas. So I put a lot of work into this worksheet, making sure every I is dotted, every T is whatever that expression is, you know.
Yeah, they look very good. These project outlines and these templates are really, really helpful.
So Emily, for the August meeting, that the last one that we just looked at, which was the status report, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one that each of the groups would come, and when it says like, what have we done? So it would be like a doodle poll went out, we held our first meeting, we, selected a leader, and we exchanged phone numbers, email address, so it'd be a preliminary update for the next August meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, so whenever the work groups, now that they have their assignments, they go out, they do the work, whoever the leader is, then fills this out and presents this in the next August meeting.
Got it. Okay.
So, are we thinking that the subcommittees will meet using WebEx? Or could it be in person or?
So it's up to you how you want to meet for your work groups. But we did try to put in time during these monthly meetings to do breakout sessions where you can then meet. I think it's just easy, low hanging fruit. We're already here, so we could then do the breakout sessions and.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll add to it. It's really up to on your time constraints as a committee, working with each other and figure out what's best. We have the opportunity to do it here, or if you have a Zoom account, or if you want to meet at a coffee shop, whatever is convenient for that group. And time is limited because we do, especially with the park one. This money is F20. We're going in F22, right? So the budget for the state budget is now enacted. So the money's being spent. So we want that. If we're going to do this, we got to do this year, this fiscal year. And it has to be, the fiscal year goes for the state from July 1st until June 30th. So we just entered into a new fiscal year for the state. And I think the county starts in, county starts real soon because you guys are working on budget now. So it's whatever each group wants to do. Okay, so.
Yeah, I would definitely say the budget hasn't been approved yet, but we have $100 million in the proposed budget for land acquisition. And we're going to be going into, after that, how do we spend that money, and which is the policy. So that's when definitely the people need to be involved in how they want those policies written, because those policies are going to decide how the land is chosen to be purchased as well. Although, the board can always override that if they feel there's a property that really should be purchased. It's a place to really be involved.
Yeah, we're going to learn more, and I will learn more about this because I got there in the past. It was through Green Place would set up the land, but I'm not sure how we're going to do it this year because I haven't heard much from Green Place on what they're doing. APD's in charge of that. But we certainly can get our 2 cents in on about the Econ State Forest / park that we're looking at trying to create. So I think we're in a good position.
So in summary so what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the survey, send the link to Gabriel by noon tomorrow. He's going to send it out to the rest of the people that did not vote. They'll sign up, and then he'll be able to email everybody out some doodle polls. And when we meet in August, we would have some project status report. That would be, we got a doodle poll, we had our first meeting, or whatever. We emailed each other, we had a brainstorming session, something. right? That's the summary.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move because we have 15 minutes left. So number 2 there, Emily, it's yours on the thoughts on an Orange County Vision 2050 Town Hall.
Yeah, so this idea came up when we were having an executive committee meeting and discussing the Vision 2050. And Kelly said she would love to have more engagement of the citizens in a way that they weren't, I guess, shut down or, so that they were able to get out their feedback. And there's a couple of pieces, because you want to get out your feedback, but you want to get out in a way that the board of county commissioners then are forced to listen to it. And I hate to say it that way, forced to listen to it, but I mean, again, the way that I've been saying this lately, government doesn't move until there's a crisis. So you have to make it a crisis for the board to listen to the feedback from the community. And so the thoughts was to maybe do a town hall, the couple of commissioners involved. We could do it here at the county building and have a presentation of what the Vision 2050 is, and then let the people then comment, and we could have that dialogue with the public. And it'll all be recorded too, so that we can put that information out there. And if it's recorded, it's out there. Get you all to try to share that too. That makes it in a way that it can't be ignored. If we could get the media to even show up, that would be even a bonus. Maybe I just thought about this just now. Maybe we could have a press conference at the very end of it or something. Just to, while everyone's there and got their feedback out, for the media to report on it. Because again, that's the only way to get them to listen is by making sure that it's out there for everyone to see and hear.
Yeah.
And then they can't ignore it.
I didn't know anything about Vision 2050 until it was mentioned at a meeting.
Any questions on that?
Pardon me? So I went out to the internet and I read as much as I could to figure out what it was. And then I thought, I haven't seen anything in the Sentinel about Vision 2050. Did they write about it a while back maybe? And so I thought it sure does need more, more publicity. And I have a newsletter in my neighborhood and I write a column for the newsletter. So I'm going to mention it in our next newsletter.
Excellent.
But I totally agree that there needs to be more publicity.
Hey, Cheryl, write an editorial for the Sentinel on it.
Oh, my word would be great.
I was thinking of writing a letter to the editor. I don't know if I know enough about it to write an editorial, but I definitely could write a letter to the editor if you think that would help. That
would help. I mean, the Sentinel is, I think they've been decimated from a reporter standpoint. And, we got to continue. Hopefully they will continue, because we certainly need the local support of the newspaper, because they have been able to do some really good things ecologically to turn the heat on. And some politicians have lost their office because of them recently. So I won't mention District 1.
Yeah, you just did. So yeah, we only have one writer in the Sentinel for county government, and so he's very. I mean, they don't have that many reporters, so it's really they're very choosy of what they choose to write about. Yeah, and so it's hard to really get the media to cover things. That's one reason why I started the talk show, which, by the way, I hope you all are subscribing to my YouTube channel, and if you have Roku, download the Roku channel, Emily Tells All. But that's information, and please share it with others too, because that's information that I'm trying to get out there about what's going on in the county, what people need to know about. I did one on the puppy mills. So I try to, if I have something coming up, an initiative, I try to do one on that to educate people on what's going on.
Okay.
So it's just important to get information out there, and we can't really rely on the media. So I'm trying to find other ways to get the information out there.
We might be able to reach out to 90.7 MFP.
All right, Kelly, anything else?
Oh, I think, Emily, there's a delay on your end. Yes, you have one more item. It's the share about the budget process.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So the budget process, the way it works here in the county, in Orange County, is different in different counties. So by our charter, the mayor is tasked with putting together the budget and then presenting it to the board. The way it really happens, because imagine the mayor trying to put together. I mean, that is just a big task. So each department and division actually puts together their budget, and they've been really great at listening to the commissioners, what our needs are in the district, and implementing our needs into the budget. So I work closely with staff on the budget every single year, and I've gotten lots of stuff in there. So then they get all their budgets together, then they present it to this guy named Kurt in OMB. Kurt puts all of these budgets together, adds them all up, and does his magic, makes everything balanced, and then presents it to the mayor, who looks over it, or I don't know what happens at that point. But then it comes to the board as a proposed budget. We have several different phases. So we just finished the workshops. So the workshop is all the departments presenting their budgets, and also the constitutional officers like the sheriff and so on. And then we provide feedback on that at the workshops. If we wanted anything additional in the budget that staff did not implement, at that time we send a memo to the staff and the mayor that this is what we want to present. We bring that budget idea to the board. Unfortunately, at that point, we were like fighting for pennies, like or peanuts, or whatever that expression is, whatever's left over, which is usually the reserves. So, and usually they put the reserves a lot higher than it needs to be, which gives us a little buffer to play for the commissioners to play with. So once if we could get the board to then agree to those budget requests, then that gets added to the budget and they work that out. I would say I had a couple of budget requests. They were all turned down. One of them was the animal shelter, though, and they said, because it was taken off the budget completely and left for the future undetermined. So we got a lot of emails from constituents saying, where is the money? You agreed to this back in 2016, the board agreed to it. And instead of doing the HVAC or air conditioning upgrades to the current building, they wanted to get a new building, which was going to be $35 million, which is a lot of money, by the way. And it just like kept being pushed down. And then this time was just completely taken off the budget to a future undetermined date. So I brought that up. They said it is going to happen in the next 5 years. So we'll see what happens with that. They're going to bring that workshop back in February. back in fall. In the fall, they said they'll bring something back to us on that. So then the second phase of the budget is public hearings. And so we're gonna go through the budget kind of again, through public hearings. And that's the first hearing, and then there's a second hearing where we go through it again. And then vote to approve it. That's the budget process. But, you know, it's good to, if you want anything including the budget, to start early on. And, you know, work with staff to get that included, but they may not agree with everything. And so it just depends on what you can get them to agree to put into the budget.
Does anybody have any
So,
Questions on that?
Yeah, what is the fiscal year for the county? Does it start in October? Oh, can you hear me? This is Cheryl.
Yep, I can hear you.
You can hear me. I'm asking Emily, what is the fiscal year for Orange County? What month does it start? I don't know if she can hear me.
Is she frozen?
Hey.
All right, Kelly, back to you. I don't know how delayed I am. It's been quiet for a little bit.
Yeah, the commissioner's is delayed.
Oh, I see.
Gabriel, do you know the answer to that?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Fiscal
what-
year for Orange County.
I keep forgetting. It's either September or
Okay.
October.
Yeah, it starts in the fall.
September, okay.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, the federal is October 1st, so,
Yeah,
Am I
federal's
frozen?
October.
yeah, I mean, I'm old Fed, so I know that.
Me too.
Yeah, it ends September 30th.
Okay, so it's the same as the federal.
Okay, and the state started on July 1st, I believe. So the state of Florida is a little early.
Very different.
Yeah.
So then you guys, we had one agenda item left, and I just want to make sure that it's all kosher, because we've got Gordon on the call, and this is a project update on the Beardley property, which is coming up on Friday at the LPA meeting. So I wanted to make sure that it was okay for him to be on the call during this. Is that okay?
Gordon, do you have any sunshine issues with this?
No, he shouldn't have any sunshine issues with it.
Okay.
So we had, and during the last meeting, we talked about a project that is out on Highway 50 off of Colonial by the Lake Pickett study area, and it was called the Beardley property. And that we had the first community meeting, and there was about 60 people that showed up. I believe that 100% of the audience, those people were opposed to the proposal. Essentially what has happened is that there's this very contentious development was the Lake Pickett study area, where we had the Lake Pickett South, which is known as the Grow, and then Lake Pickett North, which is where that state park that we're talking about tonight, which is called the Sustany, that development was denied or rejected. And so within the Grow, we had one property owner that dropped out. And when he dropped out, his parcel of land was removed from the Lake Pickett study area. And during the and now a new owner is coming in and wants to buy the land if they can get the land added to the Lake Pickett study area. So we had the community meeting, and there was some, the proposed project includes 233 townhomes, 75,000 square feet of commercial in the rural service area. We know that the vision for 2050 is trying to preserve rural land. I also don't know that it's ever been like, staff mentioned during the community meeting that the land parcel was still included in the Lake Pickett study area. But when I reviewed the LPA agenda today, and I spoke with Commissioner Bonilla, that property was indeed removed. So now they're asking to be put back into the Lake Pickett study area, which sets a dangerous precedent across all of District 5 in Orange County, where we've got, study areas that are done and marked for one type of growth, and then allowing other properties to join into the study area. It sets a precedent where wherever you border it, you could be added to it. Which is a dangerous road to go down. So that's coming up, and I just to put it on your radar. I mean, we need what happens in one area of District 5 will happen in the others areas of District 5, and what happens in District 5 will happen in Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 6. So. In the upcoming, we've got a BCC meeting at the end of August for this. And we may just need some of the council members to attend some of the meetings and just speak on behalf of sustainable development and how important it is to keep urban development in the urban service area and rural development in the rural service area. And how, like when you've got a Lake Pickett study area, it's in the rural service area, and you talk about high density development only for that area, but then you keep adding to that area and you never extend the urban service area line. What are you really doing to that area? You're putting the people that live in that area, it impacts the quality of life because the infrastructure is not there to support it. So anyways, that's just up and coming announcement. And that's all that I have for tonight. And you too. Does anybody have any comments or anything?
Any thoughts, everyone?
Yeah, I have a comment regarding what you just talked about, and it's extremely helpful if people come and speak at our meetings. Like, believe me, it's like if the neighbors or the people in the community don't come and speak up about it, we reach the conclusion that they're not really engaged in it. And it's much more likely to pass if people don't come and speak out against it. If lots of people show up and speak against it, then it's really on our radar. And it's the same thing with staff. Staff is very sensitive to public support or public opposition. Oftentimes the opposition is uninformed, which kind of blunts the effectiveness of the opposition. But apart from that, the number of people that show up, the volume of the opposition is also very important. So I urge you to speak at our meeting on Friday.
Okay. Gordon, is it in the event that people can't come, is it appropriate to email the LPA members or no?
Yeah, you can email, you can send email comments to any of the cases. You can also log on via WebEx, or you can show up in person and speak.
I think the WebEx option isn't that done now?
I don't know. Emily, can you tell me if the WebEx is still an option or not?
It's not an option anymore. They took that away.
They took it away? Okay. I wasn't sure because I was at a City of Orlando meeting this morning, and one of the commenters did make their comments via WebEx or whatever software they use at the city.
Yeah, the governor's executive, he revoked it a few months ago. That we were operating remote meetings as officials. Gordon, by the way, is on the P&Z. He's our representative of District 5, I believe still. So he knows all about. I'll speak from my history on the CRC. It's incredibly important for people to show up because the amendments that went to voters were there because the voters came to those meetings and defended those places. That the people behind the microphones before you that you think are all powerful are not truly that powerful if people don't come out and support what they're trying to do. because there's always people on the fence behind those microphones. And by people coming out there, believe me, it helps a huge amount to the point where we got those things before you in this last fall because of you. And I've also seen in at least 2 cases, I can call them off the top of my head, in recent history, we've got land purchases because of citizen involvement, because it makes an impact when you have 400 or 500 people consistently show up at meetings, even to the developers. We've had state arbiters at some of our meetings in South Orange County because the developer was scared enough that they had to call the state arbiter to keep the peace. And we eventually got that as a park. So citizen involvement is critical. Democracy does not work if the citizens are not part of the equation. So that's why Kelly and I are involved with this, because we see the need, and we're hoping that you all have seen the need. We just need to include more. The more there are, the more powerful we are.
Well, Gordon, we will do our best to
Thank
get
you,
some people down there this Friday. Is the meeting's at 9 a.m. Is that correct, or 9:30?
Was it not 9?
9. Okay. All right.
I think are they still doing you still go in the separate room to testify, I believe, as a citizen? Because that's what, now that you're allowed to go into the main room now?
Yeah, it's in the main room.
Okay.
Okay. Because
It's so frustrating that all the developers are there and they're getting paid to be there. But all of us who are not developers have to take time off of work in order to be there. So we have to lose money to be there.
Yeah, it is.
That's true.
It really is.
That's why we're called radical. I mean, how many vacation time days have we burned as citizens going down there, and we're called radical? We're radical because we're the only ones that aren't getting paid.
You know what I'll do is I'll get the email list of the members, and I'll send that to Gabriel tomorrow too before noon, so that if people can't take time off of work, maybe they could send an email to the members by Thursday night close of work.
I mean, we could go down whenever, I'll go down and we could theoretically say we got this many people to say no to this, who cannot come today because they're at work. We could do like an informal petition.
I can do a formal petition.
What is the LPA? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the local planning agency, and I mean, Gordon, you can speak to it. You're the expert on that.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, I gotta go, but thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming, Louis.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Good working with you. Ciao.
Ciao.
Drive safely out there. Drive. Gordon? Gordon?
Yes.
There was a question about LPA. What is the LPA?
LPA is the local planning authority.
Authority.
So our board has 2 functions and 2 titles. We're the Orange County Planning and Zoning Commission, and we're also the local planning agency. So as Planning and Zoning Commission, we're in charge of rezonings and comp plan amendments. I guess the comp plan amendments are really the LPA, but as the local planning agency, we are responsible for the comprehensive plan. And that probably takes up 2 or 3% of our time. Most of our time is spent on the planning, on the
Zoning.
Yeah, the zoning stuff. But I consider the planning stuff to be the most interesting and most important. And
So what is going on Friday at 9 o'clock?
that is the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have a number of cases coming before us. That one out east of the Econ is one of them.
Oh.
Most of them are in or within the already developed parts of Orange County.
Oh, okay. I get it.
So Gordon, should we come out to advocate for higher densities or anything for those developments, or you think?
You know, which developments?
I don't know, the ones in the urban areas. I haven't looked at the list yet.
You know, I think that it's so rare that anybody ever comes out to support a high density development. I think that it helps, but I also think that the developers of high density developments don't really need a lot of help.
Okay.
But it certainly puts the community on the radar of staff, our body, and the Board of County Commissioners if a lot of people show up.
I guess the reason I say that, because, you know, we in the activist community, the conservationist community, we've always been accused of being against development, but I've said many times publicly, I'm not against development. I'm just against stupid development.
Right.
And sometimes it might shake them a little bit coming out to support a high density development, just because, you know, it shows that we actually are okay with it if it's in the right spot. And you have advocates, and you might get some brownie points long term for that. You don't know. But
yeah, and that may be true. And you know, like this morning, I went to the city's municipal planning board, which is very kind of analogous to our planning and zoning commission, and I did speak in favor of a development, you know, kind of probably medium high density, 5 to 7 stories in my neighborhood. You know, but there's always issues that that maybe we differ on, even if we agree in principle to the high density. There are small pieces of it that can be tweaked to improve it. And so, yeah, I think it is helpful for the conservation community to come out and show that they're not anti-development, that we're in favor of smart development.
yeah.
But, you know, regarding that, this Vision 2050 is is our main opportunity to push for smart policies regarding the comprehensive plan. So I hope that everybody on this committee will have input on the Vision 2050.
Yeah, please remember, you guys, to sign up for that focus group if you can tomorrow evening. That link was in the chat from Gabriel. The more input, the better, and it's conducted online. You don't have to go anywhere, and it was a good presentation by staff. I'm reposting it in the chat from Gabriel so that it's just current. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn the July meeting. You have a second?
I second the motion. Cheryl Hamill.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, no opposed. We are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Adjourned for the evening.
Okay, we'll get.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Gordon.
Very impressed with the ambition of this group.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to working with you, Gordon.
Yeah. All right.
All right, we'll see you.
I'll see you later.
See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye-bye. I'll talk to you later, Kelly, on.
Okay,
trying to get-
Thursday. Let's do Thursday.